YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. Look, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, he just confirmed it. What everyone has been waiting years to hear. And guess what? It changes everything for XRP. Let's break down the moment that Ripple CEO finally admitted and why this is the spark that could send XRP into orbit. Folks, welcome back. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an epic moment. And do me a favor, while you're here, press that thumbs up button, because the more likes that we get, the more that YouTube will push out the content. That is how the algorithm works. It might not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me. And guess what? It is the free way to support the channel. We're going to start right here. Reese Merrick. That's right. You know who Reese Merrick is? He works for Ripple, everyone. Bet you didn't know that, now did you? Well, he told us what Brad Garlinghouse said, right? This is where it gets wild. This is what Brad said at Swell. So he went on record saying, and I quote, that XRP is at the heart and soul of what Ripple is doing. We care deeply. We call it our North Star. Now, where does the North Star sit? If we want to go a little tinfoil hat, it sits up and away, right? Well, seems to me that's what about the price of XRP is going to go. Now, let's think about this for a second, though, in all seriousness. This isn't some community manager hyping up the token. This is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar fintech company openly saying that XRP is the core of everything that Ripple is building. For years, and I've been here 8 years, and I've been hearing this since probably about 7 years ago. Everyone kept saying that Ripple doesn't need XRP. Well, guess what? Brad just blew that myth to pieces. This is more than words. This is positioning, posturing, right? Ripple is aligning itself for the next era of on-chain finance. And when your North Star is a token that's sitting under a dollar while global payments are moving on chain, we should say multiple dollars, $2 we'll say, right? You're looking at some massive upside potential here. And speaking of positioning, because Ripple's been through hell with the regulators. The only cryptocurrency company that's been to hell and back dealing with the SEC. But here's the thing, because that storm is finally clearing. You heard that right. It looks to me like the shutdown might be coming to an end soon. And you know what happens next, right? Over 150 ETFs get approved. And now Ripple's been fighting with the SEC for years. And now with the new clarity and global frameworks that are locking in, the world's finally catching up to what Brad's been saying all along. Utility wins. Regulatory chokehold. It is finally loosening. Banks, well, they're preparing. Liquidity corridors that were once frozen, well, they are thawing out fast. And the timing, well, if you ask me, it couldn't be better, because the macro backdrop, it's flipping bullish in a way that we have not seen in years. And just look at what JP Morgan dropped here. This next part is absolutely insane. JP Morgan, the same JP Morgan with Jamie Dimon, who used to fire people for talking about crypto and told you he would never be involved in crypto. Well, they're now calling for Bitcoin to 170,000. This is one of the most conservative institutions on planet. I want to go on record by saying that so you understand. And they just told you that Bitcoin could hit 170K within the next 6 to 12 months. Let that sink in. I've been telling you that this bull cycle looks like it is going to extend into Q1. Now, a lot of people are going to say, you're moving the goalpost. There's no moving it. An extension is good. An extension means that it lasts longer and that prices go higher. We want an extension. We don't want it to end in Q4. We don't want 2 months of just parabolic fun. We want 6 to 12 months of bull run. Something that we all expected we would have seen through the majority of 2025. Let's be honest. And when a bank that literally helped create the system that crypto is replacing starts calling for this, $170,000 Bitcoin, it's not retail hype. That is your institutions positioning themselves for the next parabolic leg up. If Bitcoin runs to 170, what happens to altcoins? They're going to explode. They're not just going to follow, they will absolutely explode. We will see a real altcoin season. And one of the biggest setups right now, well, you guessed it, because it's XRP. Chartner put this out. I'm going to play it for you, right? He's looking at on-chain data, whales, and everything that we see or going to see in this video. It all points to one thing, that XRP is coiling up for a massive breakout. Now, I don't have a crystal ball when this coil comes to an end and this thing shoots to the upside, but I do know that XRP at the end of the day, is worth more than $2, $2.20, wherever it might be sitting right now. Listen to this.
You could initially say that what we're doing is very similar again to the previous cycles, okay, where we've got this consolidation block. If we drag this over to where XRP had a previous similar consolidation block, it placed this high in May, consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months before initially getting that final push. You can see we've had the breakout and we've been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months since January 2025, other than this wick high where we actually placed the new all-time high. XRP has been trending sideways. And I think that because the new all-time high was actually confirmed this year and it didn't actually push from that and enter, you know, those euphoric targets already, and we've had this major fake out wick, this is why I think there's a lot of concern. But structurally, the integrity remains very similar. We had a massive breakout, consolidate for a large period, final blow off top.
That's exactly what we're looking at right now. A major consolidation for pretty much this entire year so far, right? Last November to January, we had that 700% move. We now been consolidating since January. This is a classic pre-parabolic structure. Consolidation, volume, squeeze, breakout, zone forming. And if you want to throw in something else, shake the tree and get retail out before the next move to the upside. You can feel it, especially after Ripple Swell. You can feel the sentiment shifting from maybe to, oh my God, it is going to happen. And all of this that we just went over and listened to, that leads us into our next big event, the one that always moves the markets for Ripple. What are we talking about? Ripple Swell. It just came, it passed billions of assets on chain. We see major adoption, major institutions buying in to what Ripple is doing. And every time Swell hits, Ripple drops game-changing announcements, new partnerships, payment corridors, enterprise integrations, you name it. Imagine this though, because while most projects are talking about hype, Ripple is actually onboarding institutional money onto blockchain rails. So you have your other assets who are talking about, oh, this might happen. Well, Ripple's actually doing it. Do you understand who's the actual adult in the room here? This is how the next $1 trillion moves happen. Not through speculation, we're done with those days, but through the actual infrastructure. Listen.
Of being able to administer them at scale, things like IP rights, sports team ownership, right? Things like this. I hope that we're able to have billions of brand new assets that never existed before. Amen.
Very well said, right? And speaking of infrastructure, let's talk about a project that is quietly building the connectivity tissue of this new system. That's going to be Chainlink, and everyone is sleeping on Chainlink. Look, Chainlink isn't just an oracle anymore. It is becoming the universal bridge for tokenized assets, for DeFi, and for institutions. You see Sergi on your screen right here. He was at SmartCon New York City the same time that Swell was going on, and he stated that the movement of capital from the institutional side into DeFi becomes much more seamless and efficient when both worlds run on the same standard. Listen up.
Feeling very positive. So Chainlink already powers the majority of DeFi globally, and on top chains like Ethereum, over 80% of all DeFi. So the Chainlink standard and the reliability that it provides has already kind of made DeFi grow significantly and made it a reliable resource for, you know, capital to flow into. Now, what I think we're doing here at this conference is we're continuing our work with the DeFi community. But to your point about JP Morgan and the DTCC and the UBS and a bunch of other, you know, of our top users, we're starting the process now of making Chainlink ubiquitous in the institutional world. I think people don't yet fully understand is that if there's a single standard powering the DeFi world and the institutional world, then it actually really benefits the DeFi world and our industry as a whole, because it makes the movement of capital from the institutional side into DeFi much more seamless and efficient and low cost and easy to do. So that's really kind of the third step in what Chainlink seeks to do. You know, the first step is enabling DeFi and our industry to build advanced smart contracts. The second step is now institutional smart contracts. And the third step is the merging of those two worlds into a single efficient global financial system. So I think the fact that we have these, you know, the largest really financial institutions and the most advanced ones from a blockchain point of view, you know, working with us here at the conference, speaking about our work, talking about going to the next stage in our work, in many cases, some of them already on production.
So look, when he's talking about both of the same worlds running on the same standard, don't forget Ripple plus Chainlink are partners, right? That standardization is meeting liquidity here. And when linked partners across the same enterprise ecosystem that Ripple is targeting, this is convergence, right? That is what you're seeing. You're seeing both worlds converge, and people are not going to see this coming until it's way too late. But the bullish energy, it doesn't stop there, because even the biggest names in traditional finance are repositioning. We got Cathie Wood here, the queen of innovation investing. She just trimmed her Bitcoin target to 300K. But here's the ticker, because her new top target is still 1.2 million per Bitcoin by 2030. That's about 4 years away. She's factoring stablecoin adoption, emerging markets, and capital flight from weak currencies. So even her reduced forecast, it still screams massive upside. Listen up.
Stablecoins are usurping part of the role that we thought Bitcoin would play. So our bullish forecast out there is 1.5 million by 2030. Given what's happening to stablecoins, which are serving emerging markets in a way that we thought Bitcoin would, I think we could take maybe $300,000 off of that bullish case just for stablecoins. So watch that space. Stablecoins are scaling here, I think, much faster than anyone would have.
Stablecoins are taking off. It's very clear 2025 is about the stablecoin. And guess who's going to facilitate those on-chain payments and settlements when trillions start to flow? Ripple, XRP, and Chainlink themselves. Will moves us over to this. Breaking news coming in. Charles Schwab, a $7 trillion behemoth. They just announced that they're going to be launching crypto trading in the first half of 2026. Within the next 7 months, Charles Schwab will officially be in the crypto industry. That's the moment your legacy finance officially crosses the Rubicon. I mean, we're talking from retirement accounts to IRAs to pension money, all gaining direct exposure to digital assets. This is the domino effect, right? For Schwab, you got Fidelity, Vanguard, BlackRock, JP. They are all coming. And your final puzzle piece, that's Ripple's next big move, the one that could redefine its valuation overnight. We're talking Ripple IPO, because he was asked point blank when Ripple plans on actually going public. And his answer was, if Ripple were to prioritize going public today, we'll definitely look at the US markets.
Are going public in the foreign market still, or are you now more US focused? Are you considering doing an IPO in the US?
Yeah. So if Ripple were to prioritize going public today, we would definitely look at the US markets. They're the deepest markets, the broadest markets, the most efficient markets. So I think we would prioritize that. When we were talking about that before, we actually had exchanges from other countries around the world courting us because the US was so, I think, illogically hostile towards this industry. Now, that being said, going public still isn't a short-term priority for us. We always kind of keep an eye on that, and it maybe at some point we will. But if for now we're focused on building, and if we have the balance sheet that's allowed us to make these multi-billion-dollar acquisitions and to continue to grow the business. We've also been able to return liquidity to shareholders. This year, we've completed over $2 billion of tender offers, so we're buying shares back from our shareholders. So that's getting liquidity to some of our early investors. And so far, we feel like we're in a good place on that, but we'll obviously continue to watch.
Look, that's not a no. That's a strategic setup, if you ask me. Think about it. Post SEC clarity, global partnerships, XRP at the heart of operation. The IPO, well, it becomes the final unlock. And when Ripple hits the public markets, XRP instantly gets global exposure. That's new money, new liquidity, and a new narrative that ties everything together. And folks, if you haven't joined the newsletter, link is down below. It is 100% free. You'll get an email. Click the link in the email. Make sure you two-factor in and opt in for it. And let's connect all the dots here. So we got Brad confirming that XRP is the heart of Ripple. We got the regulatory storm is finally ending. JP Morgan and Cathie Wood are calling for a higher Bitcoin target within the next 6 to 12 months. Ripple Swell moving billions on. Chainlink bridging institutions to DeFi. And Schwab, a $7 trillion giant, is entering crypto. This isn't random news, everyone. The next bull run, it's not going to be driven by memes. I'm sorry to say that. It's going to be driven by actual infrastructure. And at the center of it all, you got XRP, you got Chainlink, and you have your new on-chain economy. So before the world catches up, make sure you're not just watching the headlines, that you're positioned for what comes next. Hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up on your way out. I'll see all y'all